Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing?
Good. Yourself, Belinda?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good.
Well,
Excited to be able to work a bit. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, pleasure. Eh? You guys opened on Monday.
Yes, we were able to work now at level 3, obviously with certain restrictions and that, but we're quite excited to be able to get out there a little bit, you know.
Okay, awesome. Okay, guys, so welcome. Who do we have online, Candace?
Okay, so I'm just busy checking. I see people are signing on. So yeah, let's just give them some time to get online. But welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's good to have you all back with us. And I can see some of you are starting to come online, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm starting to see
Enrico, I see Enrico. Thank you, Enrico. We see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Hoe gaan het? And tell us where you're logging in from. Where in South Africa are you logging in from? Are you logging in from Joburg, Boksburg, Cape Town, Durban? Let's see where you...
I'm logging in from my offices in Boksburg. Quite excited. Yeah. So,
okay.
yeah, the first time that we here was yesterday. We were here, I should say, was yesterday. But yeah, not all of us are allowed to work here. There's only a certain percentage of us that can come in.
How many?
I think it's a third, Leroy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
good
then we
stuff.
obviously rotate, and some staff come in certain days and some not, you know.
Where's my friend, Henk?
Your friend Henk is busy signing an offer somewhere.
Always, eh?
Yeah.
So I think welcome, guys, to Get Property Wise with Leroy and Candace. So we have these sessions every Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, where we'll be sharing information. We'll be interviewing experts in the property industry. So today we've got a very special guest, Belinda Potgieter. Now, Belinda's we've been working together for about 5 years, Belinda, eh? Plus minus.
Yes.
5 years. Belinda and him have sold all our properties. And when I say sold them, they sold them very quickly. So for me, Belinda and them are the #1 estate agents in South Africa.
Thank you.
With Henk.
With Henk. And my others.
Belinda, yeah. But I just work with Belinda and Henk.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's good. So yeah, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna interview Belinda today. We're gonna ask her some questions about how's it been in COVID, with sales, the market, what she feels, because they've only started working on Monday. So she'll be sharing some information. Candace, do you want to see who we have online there? Just
yes, so Tolani also joined us. So welcome, Tolani. It's good to have you with us today. Kia's also joined us. So it's good to have Kia online as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've got more people coming on. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us. And once again, just remember, as we go through the chat today, if you've got any questions or comments, please remember to note them in our chat box. Just leave your comment there, and then at the end of the chat, we will have about 10 minutes or so that we'll be answering all of those questions. So as we go along, just remember to leave your comments, leave your questions, and we'll get to them right at the end. Awesome. All over to you, Leroy.
Yeah. So yes, ask questions, because it's not often that you get Belinda on a call. So take advantage of it. So I think let's start. We've got a half an hour. Let's get into it. So Belinda, thanks for joining us. Tell us how it's been through COVID for estate agents and for Rags2Riches. How have you guys been coping? How has it affected you? How has sales gone during this time?
Okay, so for us as real estate agents, I think like any other industry, unfortunately at level 5 we came to a grinding halt. No one sort of anticipated that this could come. No one could plan for it. I think, you know, none of us anywhere internationally in the world could anticipate what kind of effect it would have on us and as our businesses and our families. From our point of view as real estate agents with Rags2Riches Realtors, we luckily are blessed to focus in the distressed sales space. We preferred vendors and panel agents to many of the large banks in South Africa. So we've basically equipped and rigged our company in order to be able to deal with those sort of sales, and we can literally do them in our sleep. So it's basically insolvencies, distressed sales, special power of attorneys, deceased estates, and bank repos. So during the lockdown, at first our agents had to work remotely, obviously, up until now this Monday when we got onto level 3. And obviously most of us are still working remotely. We can now start from Monday, that's just passed, we could start taking clients out, obviously with the necessary care and skill and with different sort of regulations and restrictions they have in place. So a lot of people are a little bit nervous, but yeah, you know, I think there's always still hope, and God is always in control, you know. So we know that during the lockdown, we got about, I think we must have had about 500 inquiries just on one portal. We received a lot of marketing instructions in the distressed space. We obviously couldn't go and see the people, but obviously, you know, we have ways and means of liaising with them and keeping them up to speed and that type of thing. We did have sales during the lockdown. We had close to about 27 sales during the lockdown. And we received about 80 to 90 marketing instructions, and they're coming in daily. I mean, some of the banks are receiving up to 3,000 emails a day of people that are looking at some sort of reprieve or some sort of assistance or payment holiday and asking for help because there's so much uncertainty or people being retrenched, that type of thing. So that's where we come in, so that we can sort of use our skill and expertise to help them, because as distressed sellers, that's what they need. They need somebody that's going to look after them and nurture them. And these people are not criminals. You know, it happens to the best of us, but as long as they know that they're going to get up and pick themselves up. And, you know, if there's one thing I learned, my parents always taught me the sun will come up tomorrow and something's going to happen. So I've helped a lot of our clients that come back to us eventually, and we sell to them later. And a lot of our business is based on referrals as well.
Belinda, sorry, Belinda, can we just go back to what you mentioned? So, you know, just to slow it down a bit. So you mentioned there that there are about 3,000 sellers that you are dealing with that are coming through the bank. So are these individuals coming through on a daily basis, or is this the number of people that have come through over the, you know, the
it's
COVID
the amount of people
period
that are contacting the banks daily? The one bank has received at least 3,000 emails per day. Their inboxes are flooded with people looking for some sort of assistance. So we know that obviously being in that sort of realm and in that sort of market, it's a niche market, but you need to know as an estate agent how to deal with it. Not everybody can sell a distressed sale, and they need to be able to finalize it and conclude that sale. So for us, our focus has always been that we have a strong commitment to service excellence, and you need to know how to deal with those clients. You know, and get those sales sold, those properties sold as quickly as possible and for the best possible price, because not everybody can just complete a sale agreement, but not everybody can conclude them. So we're quite lucky that we've sort of aligned ourselves strategically with the best people in the business that do our home loans. We've got a home loan specialist at a well-known bond origination firm, and we've got people we have direct channels in the banks as well that sit on the floor at credit. So a lot of people are getting bonds. We had a bond granted in less than 24 hours during the lockdown. So, you know, and 100% bonds still, we're still seeing that happening. So we're still quite optimistic. There's no use in being pessimistic, because I think, you know, I spoke to a client this morning and he asked me to sell a property for him. And the first thing I said is, wow, I can't wait, because we sell in that complex and a lot of them sell. And she said to me the same thing. She had spoken to 2 other agents in the morning, and I'm not knocking my colleagues out there, but, you know, life is what you make it. And if Muhammad doesn't come to the mountain's got to go to Muhammad. So we would basically get excited. And if you're excited about a property, you're going to be able to sell it. And it really makes a difference if you have that sort of enthusiasm in your industry and in your business. So she said when she spoke to the other 2 agents, they were sort of hesitant. But when she spoke to us, we were excited. So, you know, hopefully we bring that sort of excitement through.
That's awesome. So Belinda, when you say the 27 properties that you sold over the COVID period, if we're looking at a percentage, would you say that you had a little bit of a dip over the COVID lockdown period, or would you say that business is kind of
definitely, yes, we did have an impact. We felt it like everybody else did, and especially in real estate, bearing in mind that real estate agents only work on commission. So if we can't work, our agents that are distressed sellers also can't sell their property and free up that liquidity that they might need because they've been retrenched or what have you. But we had a lot of sales, but I think if you look at, you know, if we compare year on year and we look at year to date compared to last year, we had a dip of about maybe 50%. more or less, give or take. But we still had a lot of sales compared to other agencies. Some of them out there were desperate. They didn't have any.
That's not bad, 26. Now, Belinda, tell me, were those sales that you were doing that started before the lockdown, or was it sales that people that contacted you during the lockdown?
A lot of people contacted us during the lockdown. For example, we had a property that we received in the Western Cape. We received 27 inquiries on it in the same day, and we got 5 offers on the same property in the same day, and we sold it for full price. So a lot of those people contact us in lockdown. There was a lot of people still looking, and they were still optimistic because the reduction in the interest rate has contributed greatly to it. So real estate in the long term still remains one of the best investments, and I think it's the reasons to buy property is still compelling. It's still attractive to people. So we had a lot of people that were with new properties that inquired on the brand new ones that we had just listed, but a lot of clients looked at properties before the lockdown and came back and said, I wanted them. But those were maybe, if I could say, 5% of those. A lot of them just happened in lockdown, thank God.
Okay.
Awesome.
I actually heard today, who was I speaking to? And someone said, someone at the deeds office was tested positive for COVID-19 and they closed it. I think in Johannesburg, I'm not sure.
Joburg deeds office, yeah.
Yeah, so
when everybody heard that, they were all panicking. I think I got about 30 WhatsApp messages from different attorneys and clients last night and saying, what now? But again, I think life is all about how you approach it. And for me, one of the attorneys I spoke to this morning said, you know what, when I got the message from you, I think it was the most informative, and you, a principal estate agent, you're not even an attorney or you're not associated with the deeds office, because we sell nationally. So we deal with different deeds offices on a national basis. And the Western Cape Deeds Office did the same, and so did the Pietermaritzburg Deeds Office. But all they did is, for example, Western Cape opened 3 days later because they just sanitize and, contaminate the offices, and they open. So I think we're probably looking at about a week's delay. We've got quite a few properties in the deeds office. Some of them were on prep and meant to register today. But, at least now people could move or can move if their property is registered, because on level 4, a lot of people couldn't even move. So you buy your property, it registers, and you can't move. Imagine.
Yeah, no, that's intense. So, Belinda, just in terms of the type of stock that you currently have on the market. So obviously you're mentioning that you've had some sales, you can see demand is starting to pick up again. There are lots of people that are starting to contact some of the banks just to try and do some quick sales there. But if you had to look at the general type of stock that's on the market now in terms of your experience, I mean, what would you say, what type of stock are we looking at? 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom houses, just to give us a little bit of a breakdown there.
I think, unfortunately, COVID-19 has impacted everybody. It's had a negative impact on everybody across the board on a national basis, and low to high income earners as well. So, I mean, there's people whose companies have closed down, they've been retrenched, or they're taking pay cuts. I know of companies that are busy restructuring.
Okay, I think it paused there. Yeah. Okay, I think a bit of an internet challenge there, but it seems like
we've just lost Belinda a little bit. I think it's an internet connectivity.
What I like, how positive.
Even your rent, those were still available. So we.
Okay, Belinda, we just lost you there for a while. Your internet just dipped a little bit, so we've just lost you for a while. If you can maybe just repeat the last few sentences.
Sorry. So what I was saying is that COVID-19 impacted everybody on a negative way across the board, whether you were an executive or, a till operator at a spa or something. So the properties that have come in have been across the board, whether it was 2.3 to 4 million or 1.5 or 700 or 200. So the properties that we see selling at the moment are more or less in the region of about 750 to 1.5. But we have a mix of stock, and we're quite lucky because we're in the distressed sale space. So we have a lot of stock that comes in. And, if there's one thing that's good in real estate is to have the stock. Because if you have the stock, you get the buyers. It's like a post-dated check. So we're quite lucky because we get stock nationally every day.
And Belinda, when you say 750 to 1.5, so what you're saying is it's across the board. So you're seeing 2-bedroom apartments? You're seeing houses going up for sale,
Yes.
1 bedroom?
It varies.
Okay, so there's a little, you can't really give percentages, so there's a mix of everything.
I would say about 20% of them are the lower end. So for me, lower end is about 250 to 750. It can be a 2-bedroom townhouse. It can be a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yes.
For example, we've got 2 at the moment, which are 1-bedroom apartments. There's a lot of inquiries on those, but remember, people don't always have the money to pay a deposit plus the costs,
Yes.
in that sort of space. And then the rest of them are easily from about 750 upwards, but most probably, we're sitting with the most amount of stock from about 950 to 1.5 upwards.
Okay, no, that's good, Belinda. That's good information. And then also in terms of the banks that you're working with now, so I mean, you're saying some people don't always have a deposit to put down, or, so what type of loans have the banks been giving in terms of the clients that you've been servicing? Is it 100%, 80%? What type of bonds?
It just depends, Candace, on circumstances, if I can put it that way. It all depends on the client. If the client is good to go and they've got a good credit record, the banks are prepared to help them. Bearing in mind that we've had a lot of cash sales as well, because the investors obviously look at it as a brilliant return. But our bonds that we're getting are about 100%. We hardly get about 90 or 80%. As I said, my bond originator is very good. She works quite hard, and so does my other one. So I think if you align yourself with the right people, and you know that, like I said earlier, anybody can fill out an offer, but not everybody can convert that sale and see it through to registration. So we're quite lucky in that I don't take no for an answer. My agents know. And the one guy from one of the banks said to me, for you, decline is a swear word. I'm scared to phone you and tell you I've got a decline. So we had a property once that one of the banks did, and the bond was declined, I think 8 times in one day, and we eventually got 100%. So some of the banks are doing 104%. So they do include a portion of your costs, but remember, it's not all of them. But we do make it work. We somehow will try and let them pay it off or something like that,
Okay. Now that's awesome for the innovation there. And the regions that you're seeing most of these sales in, so which areas have you received a lot of?
Gauteng predominantly is the busiest for us and for most of the banks, and in the distress sale space, obviously Gauteng being the biggest and sort of most successful region economically. We have the most properties there, and then obviously on the East Rand, where we're based, our offices are in Boksburg, we're very successful there. But then again, the Western Cape, anything that comes in at the right price, it will fly, it will go very quickly, provided you can get access as well. And then eThekwini in KwaZulu-Natal, so it's like your Durban, Umhlanga, Durban North, Amanzimtoti, that sort of area,
Okay, so you've been seeing some good sales in those areas as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, that's good to know. Awesome. No, thanks for those insights. Leroy, do you have anything else on that?
Well, I wanted to ask you, with COVID, because obviously you guys still sold a lot of properties, 27 properties, and people bought them without viewing, right? Some of them.
Some of them, yes.
Post-COVID, how do you think, will people buy without viewing? Will technology come in with the 360 tours? Are people nervous to view it? How do you think that's going to play out, and how will you guys be handling that? Because I know a lot of people are nervous to go in to properties in view. So what do you think that?
Well, we've luckily, with regards to being nervous to go in, we take the necessary precautions. We provide our clients with certain necessities that's needed. We prep our clients before we come, buyers and sellers, and we make sure that they feel comfortable. We've also aligned ourselves with a company that does excellent quality professional fogging. So when our clients move, it's a value add that we have, because as Rags2Riches Realtors, we don't just offer a sales service, we offer the whole package. And then also, basically, when we make appointments, we will make sure that the clients are comfortable. We check that they haven't been in contact with anybody that's ill. We ask certain questions. We did have sales, Leroy, where people put in offers from, the electronic sort of portals, and they were happy with the videos and that type of thing. But as an agency, we like to look after our clients, because although we mandated to sell the property and the seller is essentially our client, the buyers out there are definitely our clients as well. And they're just as important to us. So we've got to make sure that we look after both clients' needs and we protect their needs. So I personally preferred to, do it in a different way so that we would make sure that everybody was covered, and they would sometimes put in offers, for example, subject to viewing, and, they would then view the property, which we've managed to get them to view most of them already. And they love the property. So a lot of the clients, like I said earlier, are referral buyers, or we've got a huge database. So we've got a lot of investor buyers that rely upon our advice and opinion, and they take our word for it. But it's sort of like buying a blouse. If you go and buy a blouse, you want to try it on and see whether it suits you and if it's the right fit. But you can't, it's never the same as looking at a property individually and personally, because a property will speak to you, and you can't feel the aura or, look at the property and see the exact size of it. So I think going back, in time, when we eventually get over this, please God, I think it will go back to normal. And we're very optimistic. The property industry is always, even the country as a whole, never mind property, but we've gone through a lot of crises in the past, and we've managed to overcome that. So we're quite optimistic in that we will, and things will go back to normal. So we've been told to try and do electronic viewings where possible, and we do encourage it. But I think the norm would be that people want to see what they're buying. I mean, if you're test driving a car, you want to know how fast it goes and if you're comfortable in it. It's the same with a house, We have to go back to basics.
Yep.
So Belinda, so I think what you're also saying is, at least on some of the viewings, there was, in addition to the photos, there were obviously some videos. So that obviously helped some of your clients in that area. So, I mean, they were able to make some decisions because they could at least see what the property looks like on the inside and outside based on the videos. Yeah, so I think that probably also then becomes an alternative, for
sure.
people whilst, we are in this lockdown situation, because not everyone can actually go out and view the properties. But
Sure.
I think it becomes important then when you advertise your property to see if you can add some video material to support that.
The video is great. It's one of the options that work, especially for people like we've got a couple of investors that are based overseas, and they don't necessarily want to see the property. We always try and encourage them to get a family member or somebody to see it, but we give them as much info as possible. So we'll tell them there's a roof leak or whatever's happening, because they're not there to inspect it themselves. And we're not specialists by no means in sort of home inspections and that type of thing, but that will eventually, with the new property practitioners bill that comes in, that will become enforceable. But for now, people, you buy the house footstoots, and at the back of our contract, we have a declaration, so they declare the condition of the property. So that also helped, having that in place where the client knows it's better to be truthful and upfront and declare what's wrong, so that the buyer knew what they were getting themselves in for before seeing it. Although with a distressed or bank repo, you're mainly buying at footstoots, and it comes in at a reduced price usually. So although a lot of them are market related, some of them are below market value, and you have that benefit of getting it for that price, but it might need a little bit of work here and there. But not always, some of them are perfect, but it depends on how desperate the sellers are to sell. I think a lot of sellers make the mistake in that they feel that if the property goes to SIE, they're better off, but they're not, because it's never the right thing to do. But remember, the banks out there they don't deal in property, they deal in money, and they will do whatever they can to assist clients to avoid SIE. But people think if it goes to SIE, they don't sign an AOD, but they do. So
Belinda,
we try and encourage them.
Belinda, just for sake of the audience, just explain to them what SIE is. Because
SIE is a sale and execution by sheriff auction, where they take judgment on the property and they eventually attach that property, and it can either be on-sold at the auction to somebody else, or sold, bought in by that particular bank, and then it becomes a bank repo. So a lot of the time, the mistakes that the clients make out there is they'll see a property advertised maybe under my name, and it's with a particular bank, and they assume it's a bank repo, but it's not. So we get distress sales, insolvencies, and we've got to explain that. But the minute they see a bank logo, they think it's a bank repo. And you don't normally, Leo, years ago, you could negotiate and offer 50% below. Some of the banks don't even look at that 80-20 model anymore. And we've sold properties for a certain bank, I won't mention who they are, but we've sold them for more than market value. So if the price was 1.4, we've sold it for 1.5, because obviously it depends on supply and demand. If the demand is great and the supply is not, the people will pay for the price.
Sure. Okay, that's good. So, Belinda, you shared a lot there. Candice, do we have any questions?
Yeah, so we do have some questions. I think let's just go into it quickly. So you just got a special greeting, Belinda, from Lee Bevan. So
Hello,
Lee,
Lee.
yeah, so Lee,
Thank
it's
you.
lovely to see you. You have some questions. Okay, and then, sorry?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, we've got a question here from Daryl. Let me just see what he's saying here. Warren has also sent something, but let's just answer Daryl quickly. So Daryl says, I understand that people are buying now because of low interest rates and people or properties are distressed, but when markets recover and interest rates go up again, are they prepared for increased bond repayments? I'm happy to take that one. I don't know, Leroy, if you...
No, answer yet.
Okay, so I'm happy to... Okay, you want to take it, Belinda? That's good.
I think what the banks look at is, you know, with the introduction of the CPA a few years ago, the banks can't lend recklessly. So they'll always take into account the fact that the client needs to qualify and use they look at a certain percentage, which is usually a third of their income, in order to be able to pay the loan. As a realtor ourselves, Rags2Riches Realtors, we never take our clients to the max, even if they want to go, to make way for places, you know, times that the interest rate might go up. So we'll never ever take our client to the max. So that's where we come in, and that's where, like I said earlier, we do things a bit differently. Some people just look at the pay package at the end of the month and work on commission, but we've got to put our head down on the pillow at night and still sleep. So luckily, thank God, we're blessed in that we get a lot of sales per annum, and we have the bulk of them. So, you know, I wouldn't say that we're independent, that would be the wrong word to use, but I would say we care, and I'm not saying other agents don't, but we have to make sure that we look out for our clients so that we get repeat business, and a lot of our clients have actually become our friends. So yes, the price, look, I think if you look at if you took a home loan repayment of about R1 million, at the same time in January this year, you were looking at a repayment of about, I think, 9,800 Rand. And now for the same amount, in May this year, you're looking at 7,800 Rand. So it makes a huge difference. It's actually becoming cheaper almost to own a property than to rent one. And it just makes sense. Yes. You know, it's the biggest investment.
No, so thanks for that, Belinda. I think that's a good response. And I think especially for yourselves as Rags2Riches, we actually go the extra mile and make sure that you don't, you know, you assist your clients so that they don't take the full capacity of what's available to them. But I think for you know, people out there, and maybe yourself, Daryl, and I don't know if you're an investor, but remember, it's always important to also run your numbers. And my guidance would also be that, you know, also go back to what the interest rates were. So when you do your numbers, look at what they are now and anticipate an increase, because we will potentially see an increase in the medium to long term. So I think it's important for you to also run your numbers and just see what that, you know, difference will be for you, and be able to still see that once you collect all your income, your rental income, you know, will it still be able to cover all your expenses and of course leave you with a little bit of profit income there. So just make sure that you run your numbers and they work for you, and anticipate that the interest rates will go up in the medium to long term again. So make sure that you've got some provision for that should it escalate, you know, at some point in time. But for now, the opportunity is there. So we can definitely use that as well. I've got another question here from Warren. Let's just see what he said. Okay, so Warren doesn't really have a question. He's just given some feedback. Gregory here, that's also for you, Belinda. He just says, thank you, very informative. So thank you for sharing your insights there. And I think those are all the questions that I can see now at the moment. Work on 10%, I agree. Okay, so Daryl has just responded, and he's just said thank you for the response that we've given him there. So awesome, thanks, Daryl. If there's anyone else with any questions, please do connect with us now. Now's the time to do that. We've got about 5 minutes remaining, or 3 minutes.
I think with the remainder, Belinda, maybe during this time now, if you would give sellers advice on that are looking to sell their properties, that might, because businesses have closed, as you say, some people have been retrenched, some people are being short paid, and if they need to sell their properties, what advice would you give them to say, listen, what will be the best way to get the most for your property, and also for investors as well, when looking at these properties, what advice would you give them to say, listen, look at this so they can get the best deal out of it as well?
Okay. I think obviously the reasons to buy are still compelling. You know, property remains your biggest investment. If you look at sort of the return on the investment, you can never ever compare it to anything else. And in the long term, definitely it's your biggest investment. My advice to sellers is obviously bearing in mind, we don't only sell distressed sales, we sell a lot of normal residential sales. But if you want to sell your property, the seller has to come to the party in bringing in the price and being market related and taking the advice of the agent, who often is the specialist. I always say to clients, you know, if they ask a question, it's never a silly question, because I don't expect them to know what I do, and I don't expect to know what they do. So we would guide our clients and give them sort of a comparison and make sure that the price of the property, it's priced right. Because if there's always a reason as to a house not selling, there's either it's in the wrong area, or it's in bad condition, or it's overpriced. And if you overprice a property, you can never really, you know, you can't go up. So I always say to people, price it right and consider the actual data that's available to you and experience and the sort of trends and what the market's doing. Look at the market and look at the demand. But if you price it right, and if you prepare your home and make sure that when we come, it's clean, and, you know, prep your home and be nice to people when they come, and, you know, sort of let the agent do their job, because a lot of the time the sellers want to come and try and sell their house, and then people think there's something wrong with it. So, you know, that's why we're there. We're there to help our clients and make sure that from an investor's point of view, we want to get them the best deal. But from a seller's point of view, whether they're distressed or not, we need to try and get them the maximum, because for a seller that's a distressed seller, I always say to my sellers, don't ever think that you're alone, because it can happen to the best of us. And they are going to pick themselves up, like I said earlier. But if they have to sell at a reduced price because of the economy and what's happening out there, the banks will always help them. Some of the banks will offer discounts on the AODs, which is an acknowledgement of debt that they sign. But it's always the better alternative then to go to SIE, which is your share of auction, because then you've lost everything, and it affects everything. Some people can't travel, they can't get a job, and they might, you know, you never know what your circumstances hold in the future. So it might be fine now, and you might say, I'm self-employed, I'll never apply for a job, but you will, you know, eventually, because you never know what happens, or you might move towns, you know. So yeah, we're there to help and guide them as best we can, and we try and get them the maximum as quickly as possible, and try and get our investors the best price that we can. So we'll guide them. We've got a database. We send out alerts. The portals where we advertise also send out alerts, and we've got people that will sort of hit on a property. We've sold a property in half an hour before for full price. So, you know, it just depends on how you do it and how you go about it, and again, how you approach life.
So Belinda, I've got one last question for you. So we've got a question here from Warren, and his question is, does an open mandate create more exposure for sellers of a property?
No. I particularly am not in favor of an open mandate. We most of the time would refuse to work on an open mandate, purely because as an estate agent, a lot of it goes into it, and we want to give the best exposure to the client. We, on the East Rand, we belong to a networking system which is very powerful and it's brilliant in the way that it works. So we, most of the time, will network with other agents and advertise it and put it onto the system, where a lot of agencies have access to it. We belong to two different portals. One goes right up to Joburg, you know, Randburg, Sandton, Bedford View, that sort of area. The other one focuses on Boksburg, Benoni, and Kempton, and we're on all zones. So when you have the property on as an open mandate, in answer to your question, Warren, it's not the best thing to do for the client. Sometimes it's best for the agent, but at the end of the day, I always say to my clients, it's not about the agent, it's about the seller and about the client, to get them the best price. So what happens is a lot of agents start then advertising it for different prices, because I might work for 20,000 and you might want 100,000, and then you might conclude a sale, and then the client sees the property advertised for 50,000 Rand below, and then they want to get out of it. So I always say, you know, sign a mandate with the client, you know, bind to with the client, yes, with the agent, and bind to that agent and let them do their job for you, because they will do the job properly. My agents are all, you know, we empower our agents. We believe a lot in transformation as well, and we basically want our agents to be the best that they can be. So we train our agents. They know what to do. They know how to do it. We have marketing tools. We don't just go in and sort of wing it. We've got to do it the right way. And a lot of our agents earn above average incomes year on year. And we sort of run, it's a family-owned business, but we run it as a team. You know, it's not as though they work for me, they work with me. And I love my staff. If I would be nowhere without my staff. So, and my clients especially, we've got to look after them. So open mandate, Warren, we don't look at it as being a positive.
So thanks for that, Belinda. And I think just to add to that, Belinda, so I think it's important for the investor or for the seller to just make sure that they also do their research in terms of the agencies that they are working with. Obviously, we've worked with Belinda and the team for a number of years now, so we know that the caliber and the quality of work that they deliver. So we would definitely, you know, refer sellers and investors to the agency as well. But I would say for the normal person out there who's wanting to sell a property, I mean, we have seen that if you are also listing with the wrong agency, remember your property can also be on the market for a couple of months, and that can cause you some real financial problems. And then remember, as Property Pick, our guidance is really as sellers, you know, it's also important to have, so if you are an investor or you're a seller, you're trying to sell a property for whatever reason. So we've got Belinda's agency. We also have Property Pick. It just becomes another alternative. We've had arrangements where, you know, the agency gives us then access to also list some of the properties on our Property Pick portal. So remember, you've got that option there. So just one last comment from Gregory here. He's just saying that it's so important for clients to well educate themselves when applying for finance. So yes, Gregory, we agree with you. It's important to get the right level of education. And if you've got good agents like Belinda that you and a team that you work with, of course, they will also help you along the process. I think just in summary, it's important to make sure that you do your homework, know the agencies that you're working with, and of course, remember that there are other alternatives also to selling your property.
Well, that's good. Well, time is...
Sorry, it's important what Greg said, but then your agents need to know the different criteria of the banks and educate the clients. It's all about educating your client and being there for them every step of the way.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of the clients do not know how to analyze the property and analyze the area themselves. So, so it's good to work with a professional in that area. But I think we've come to the conclusion here. So Belinda, maybe just for the listeners, where can they get a hold of you? What's your contact details, website details?
Website address is www.rags2richesrealtors.co.za, and it's a number 2. You can contact me telephonically on 079 516 6027, and email, you can email info@rags2richesrealtors.co.za, and it's a number 2.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Belinda. What we'll also do is, everyone, we'll also make sure that we include Belinda's details on the Wednesday chat that we did today, like we normally do. So we will go back into the comments. We'll make sure that we include her contact details there. So should you want to get a hold of her, you're welcome to connect with her afterwards. And if you do have further questions, remember, leave your questions. We will get to your questions between today and tomorrow, and we'll make sure that all of those questions are being attended to. But thank you so much for joining us today. Leroy, if you just want to give them our details where they can subscribe to Property Pick.
Okay, so check out our website. It's www.propertypick, that's pick.co.za. So if you've got deals that you want to load on there, investment opportunities, if you're an investor, go subscribe. We'll be loading about between 20 to 40 deals on there in the next few days. What we've also put on there for you, we've put deal spreadsheets, budget spreadsheets for you to analyze deals. So yeah, so go subscribe, guys, and check out the website. We'll be here next week again, same time, Wednesday, 1 o'clock. What we'll do next week is we'll take you through the website. We'll show you a few deals, and we'll show you a few opportunities that you can invest into.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Belinda. Thank you once again for joining us. It was good having you on our chat today. Leroy, thanks so much. And
thanks, Belinda. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll chat soon.
Thanks,
Thank you very much for having me. God bless. Keep well.
Awesome. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
God bless everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.